man.
And speaking of people who meant big business to the Tar Heel Nation and whatnot, Big Mac, never the little one,
Never
never the little one, gave a lot of praise to Bill
sauce and pot
Belichick.
beats.
He he gave a lot of praise to Bill Belichick this past week on Sirius XM, man. I don't know if you heard. You heard about what Mac had to say?
I mean, I've seen that he has always had some high talk about Bill Belichick lately. I know what he
Yeah.
said recently. What did he say
So
recently?
basically, so he was on College Sports on Sirius XM, and he was giving praise to Bill Belichick. He was like, "Yo, he's gonna be successful here." And the reason why, or at least one of the reasons why, he said he'll be successful because the university has invested in him. And
Mhm.
here was his quote. He said they've committed money to it. They've helped them with the academics. They've lowered those standards some. So there's absolutely no reason they shouldn't be successful and anymore. They've anymore they've changed the roster. So you've got a chance to succeed at the highest level, and I expect them to do that, and I'm proud of them. So shout
So
out
that because
to Mac for just because some people they especially with the way he went out, some people might have been like,
and
oh, this kind of
I think
cold or
more teams should do that with new head coaches. Like, sure, like unless you're in one of those schools that you already had a high academic standard just to get there, then you
mhm.
wouldn't have to you shouldn't have to lower those standards. But like when you have new coaches coming in, especially ones that haven't had a long history of coaching at this level, I
Yeah.
think that makes a lot of sense. You lower the standard just a bit. You don't lower it to to terrible
Mediocre.
standards where
You don't make it mediocre.
you lose quality, but you lower them enough to where like, okay, this is going to be the expectation for the first 1 to 2 years or 2 to 3
Mhm.
years while you're still getting established. You find a rhythm, you get familiar with everything around here. So then when you do get familiar, you're like, okay, and now we're good. We can start ramping this up a little bit. Then you can start raising the standards more because now you have your rotation in, you have your foundation in, everything's good. So no, I agree with this. See, this year the media focus is going to be between Bill and Boulder. True.
Facts.
Yeah, it's going to be between Bill and Dion.
And Dion.
Because
Because everybody
no
goes
matter where you talk about now, Dion gets talked about all the time, no matter who's playing.
because here's the thing. It's gonna be about I got Bill. Steve said he got Bill going 8-5, 9-4 with y'all in year one. I can see it.
8 and 5, 9.
I can see it. I can see it because there's gonna be some growing pains. So that's a modest
I
thought
mean,
process. There's gonna be some growing pains,
but so
and
yeah, I'm thinking between 7 and 6 and 9 and 4. I can see that for sure.
I I I like the 8-5. I like the 8-5.
Oh
I'll
yeah, no,
put
I
that
think
in my
8 and 5
parlay.
is the most realistic for sure. Like I was like on a low end 7 and 6, high end 9 and 4. And the reason why I say and I think with the 7 and 6, it's going to be based off some games that either wasn't called in their favor at all, or there was more mental lapses on the field than there were coaching problems. It was more like, okay, we knew what our assignment was, but we just didn't execute well, or the team just literally just out executed us by comparison. So
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be some of them games. If they do lose, it's gonna be like it's not because they just were beaten by a better team. It was like they just got beaten either by mental mistakes with some of the newer guys, or they were beaten by just better execution, just overall. Like you did everything you could do on a coach's end, and there was nothing you could do.
Mm. Everything we can do. Mm. We didn't lose. They won.
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never heard it put that way, and I love it. So we didn't lose; they won.
Clip right there. Clip of the year. We didn't lose. They
We didn't
won.
lose; they won.
It's like, what do you mean by that? What does that even mean?
I said, what do you mean by that? That's not what that
But
means. It's
this is
provocative. Gets the
this
people
is
going.
evocative. Gets the people going, man. It's like, no, it doesn't.
Is it not?
It's like,
I'm confused. I'm confused, sir.
no, it doesn't. I'm sure it does. But man, I'm honestly Honestly, when I think about everything and I think about the season and I look at it, I genuinely believe Bill could have an ACC title in 4 years.
Oh yeah. Well, I think within his first 5 seasons, he could easily
He could
be
win an
competing
ACC
for
title.
for ACC. If not, at least
Oh,
not winning, at least competing every year.
oh, speaking of ACC titles, speaking of that, did you see that the NCAA changed the seeding for the CFP starting next year?
I did see they're doing the straight up. If you're
Straight
ranked
up
one through
seeding,
four,
basically
you get the bye week.
one through yeah. So basically, so for those of you who don't know, starting next CFP, there is no you win the conference, you win one of the big four, like what, power
Mhm.
four, power five. If you win one of those, you're automatically getting a bye. So the ACC, the SEC, Big Ten, and Big 12 champions do not get the automatic bye.
That no longer matters when it comes down to getting a bye. It
Basically,
is if you were not
whoever
ranked one of the top 4 teams by the end of the championship week, you're not getting the bye.
when they make that selection, like when they select the 12 teams, they are going to basically put it as, all right, we got our 12 teams. What are your rankings in the league at that time?
Mm-hmm. Seeds 5
And
and 12, we'll see you week 1.
we'll see you week one. So for example, let's say you got the number one team in the nation, the number four, the number seven. It's like number 1, 4, 5, and 6 are the four highest seeds. I don't know why they do it that way, but let's just say that happens. Those are the four. Those will be your 4 seeds, your top 4 seeds heading into this, if I'm recalling correctly.
From what I remember, the way they were talking about it is if you are
Do I got it wrong?
I think it's a little wrong because I don't think they're
Okay.
doing it that way. I think what it is if you're ranked 1 through 4, come the CFP, and then when they do selection, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you're not one of the top 4 teams at the end of the season or by CFP selection, you
Uh-huh.
don't get a bye week. It is literally just 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the ones that get bye weeks.
So
It's the way I was reading it.
so basically, okay. So in my mind, with that being said, let's SEC champ is probably going to be number one. Like I'm gonna call a spade a spade. We're gonna call
Yeah.
a spade a
So,
spade. The
so
SEC
wait.
champ is
So
going to be the number one seed. So if the ACC champ jumps from, let's say, 5 to a 2, they would get
they
the
get
number
the bye
2
week.
seed.
Yeah, so basically what it's saying is the college football is shifting from a straight seeding model for 2025, meaning teams will be seeded based off of their final rankings by the CFP selection committee. Rather than prioritizing conference championships for the top 4 seeds, this changes aims towards the reward the best overall teams and create a more balanced bracket. So basically, if you are 1, 2, 3, and 4, you get the bye week because you are now the 4 best teams in the CFP.
Okay. So even
After
if
everybody below that has to play the first round, and then whoever comes out of the first round will play the top 4 best teams.
so if the Big Ten champ, so if the Big Ten champ is if the Big Ten champ ends up being the 7th seed at the end of it all,
They will have to play round
they're
one
just a 7th.
because
They're just a 7th
they're just a
seed.
7. Yeah,
All
because
right.
you weren't good enough during the season to get top 4.
Okay.
And that's basically how they were doing it before they changed it to the 12 team. Was the top 4 guys was the one that made playoffs.
Yeah.
So all they're
Yeah.
really doing is keeping that model and just expanding it to 12 teams. And that's really what everybody thought they were going to do initially when they first started this. Was they were going to have it to where whoever the top 4 teams was deserve more auto bids. I don't know. No, I don't. And unfortunately, I don't think they do. I don't think they deserve more auto bids. Nick's down 10, by the way. Shaking my head. They still
I
Nick.
would I would say for the auto bids, I would say if you're giving the ACC more, you have to give the Big Ten more. Respectfully,
I feel
like
like
if
I feel like you'd have to give
because
Big
the
10
SEC
more,
is
and
going,
you'd have to give Big 12 more on top of that if you're going to do all 4.
I only reason I don't think about the Big 12 like that is, well, I just in terms of football competition, especially as of late over the last decade and a half, it's been the SEC, the ACC, or the Big Ten that have been the champs.
Right.
So that's why I couldn't put the Big 12 in there, because when the Pac-12 was a thing, when it was the Pac-12 and the Pac-10, the Pac-12 would usually beat out the Big 12 here and there. It would be flip flop
Right.
between them and the Pac-12 every year on which conference is better.
So I got the score pinned in the corner of my screen.
Man, listen, I got the game. I got the game literally on silent
So
over
I,
here.
I could listen. I got it like sitting in front. I got it. But like,
Hey, listen,
I
I got it
think
on silent over here.
I think the reason why I would say you'd have to also give the Big Ten, the Big 12 more bids too, mainly is just because at this point now we only have four power conference. It's a power four conferences now.
Yeah,
Now, if you still had the Power Five operating like the Power Five, then no, I would definitely agree that the Big 12 wouldn't get anything because Pac-12 would beat y'all out.
yeah,
Or Pac-12 tends to have more competition than you. But now when it's just the four of them, sure, the level of competition may still not match up with Big 10, ACC, and SEC. But if you're going to give more bids to the ACC when the overall competition hasn't been that great over the last couple of years, they still got more competition over because now even Big 12 is starting to get a little more competitive by comparison
yeah. I can see
because
that.
at least the teams that you have are at least around the same level overall in the conference instead of you having that one big because when you had Texas and Oklahoma was there, you already knew Texas and Oklahoma was probably going to win the
They were
conference
the they were the top dogs with the
almost all
occasional
the time.
tech. They were the top dogs with the occasional Texas Tech, maybe Kansas
Right.
State, maybe
Like you were
Oklahoma
having
State will have one good year.
Notre Dame sickens me every time I see them. Notre
Hey,
Dame
bro. No,
sickens
no, 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 no,
me
no, 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 no,
every
no. This is a running joke I have with this man, because he cannot stand Notre Dame, and for valid reason. For valid reason. Because I will admit, I started supporting his reasoning because Notre Dame went to the ACC for every other sport
every
but
other
football.
sport but football. I get
Like,
that you still get all your notoriety like you used to. I get that. However, I should not see you ranked top 10 ever in your life if you don't choose a conference. Notre Dame should never be top 10 ever in their life until they choose a conference. I shouldn't see you in the
I
opportunity to get in the national play. I shouldn't see you in the college football playoff ever again
I
until you
honestly
choose a
don't
conference
think you should. Honestly, as a school, I don't think you should be allowed to put every other sport you play
in a
in a
conference.
conference, but football or one other sport can remain out.
Like
Like,
I
you're
don't get
either
that.
all in or you're all out. Because the reason why Notre Dame plays in the ACC for basketball is because there's not enough independence to justify you getting into the tournament off independent alone. Even Yale and Cornell and all them play the Ivy League to get a bid into the NCAA tournament. So that's the reason why Notre Dame hopped in there. So I'm like, bro, all Notre Dame should be in the ACC fully. Like, I don't like the fact that they still remain independent. I respect the talent they have. I respect
Oh,
like
always. Like
I
Notre Dame
respect the
has
talent
good
they have on
teams.
that, and they have a great coach too.
And tell you, and looking at and even looking at their schedule this year, and I can see I can see the upside to being independent. I couldn't find the word in my like
Hey, listen, you were trying real hard, like,
I was so flustered. I could not find the word to save my life just now. But I can see the profitability and the upside to being an independent school, but just make the rest of your school independent.
that's what I'm
Use it
saying. Either
like
go all
at
in or
this
go
point, just
all out. Go all in or
exactly
go
just
all
make the
out.
rest of your school independent. Because if you're able to do this with just the football team, why not just have the whole school independent? And part of me feels like the reason why you don't have the rest of your school independent is because you won't make enough money outside of football to justify the rest of them being independent.
No, they won't do that. And like I said, you won't get the notoriety that comes with, oh hey, we are an independent basketball school. We're an independent lacrosse team. We're independent. Like when your opponents aren't going to generate that notoriety for you
at all.
because the other independent opponents aren't going to do it. So what do? You join the conference. Basketball, everybody. I don't care who you are. When it comes to college basketball, everybody knows the ACC is the cream of the crop. Followed by that.
Like look, because now even looking at their schedule, and
I'm looking at it right now. No,
looking
I'm
at your
looking at it right
schedule,
now too.
they have a solid schedule. This is one of the few times I have not been upset looking at a Notre Dame schedule. Like you got Miami, you got Texas A&M, you got Arkansas, you got USC, you got North NC State, Syracuse, and Pittsburgh on this schedule. It's a solid schedule. Is it one of the most difficult I've seen? No, but you at least have some legitimate competition.
Nah, because here's the problem.
Because normally you only got 3 teams that's worth playing.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna point out 2 things for you, and you're gonna love the way I point out. One, Dynasty Me is coming out, and you know what I do during Dynasty when we play dynasties. I need a ranked opponent on this schedule. I
mean, they got Florida and A&M on there.
They don't.
Miami, Florida.
They are ranked, at least not when I'm looking at it. Unless
I don't know if they put the ranks on here.
Okay, if they haven't dropped the rankings yet, okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I don't think they've dropped the rankings yet.
Put a ranked opponent on 2.
Bro, Notre Dame hasn't won a natty since 1988. Join the conference. Facts. Join the conference. It might break the curse.
Then not only that, look at this. Miami, NC State, Boston College, Syracuse, Stanford. That is 5 ACC teams.
Just play in the ACC.
Just join the ACC.
Because all the out of conference games you have is Boise State, A&M, Arkansas, and Purdue, and USC. Everybody else, ACC.
USC is their rivalry. Like for some reason, they have a
rivalry. Right, and USC is a rivalry.
I'll let them keep that. But just go ahead, join the ACC. Like, because what is it? You have usually 9 games. 9 out of a 13 or 8 out of a 13 season that are conference games. You already got 5 ACC opponents. So take out what?
Take out Boise. Take out Boise. Take out Purdue.
Take out Arkansas. And I'll take out Arkansas because y'all gonna have the Navy game.
And take out Navy.
No, I'll give them Navy because everybody needs a cupcake game. And that's no shade at Navy. I just think there's no shade at Navy.
I ain't gonna lie. I thought that was the Purdue game.
That's fair. I can see why you thought that.
I thought that was either Purdue or Boise State. It's my fault.
I can see why you thought that. But the other reason why I'm looking at it is if they join the ACC, Navy would be the out of conference game they have for the final ACC stretch down at the end of the season. Think about it: Boise, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford. And Pitt's not even in the ACC. Pitt's in the Big Ten, so that's still a hard game.
Oh, did they move to Big Ten? I thought because they were ACC 2 years ago, right?
Oh, they still ACC? If they still ACC, that's 6. Yep, they're still ACC. That's 6.
I thought so.
That's 6 opponents in the ACC. Just join the ACC. Just join the ACC.
And you know what? Another thing that I'm thinking. Because another thing that I can't. That's the reason why I can't stand Notre Dame for this. It's because, like I said before, unfortunately, the competition in the ACC hasn't been the same caliber that we've been coming to expect as of late. Because Florida State's gone down.
Clemson started.
Miami's starting to come up. Clemson had a bit of a hilly thing for a second.
They are in their iffy window right now. They're in
the iffy window right now.
Either going to regroup or they're going to really start to take a dip.
Like I said, they're in that iffy window right now. Then you got, like I said, and then I said North Carolina is starting to figure things out, or they should be starting to figure things out over the next couple of years. Syracuse, NC State is still kind of solid. Pittsburgh has been a solid contender.
I don't know. Pittsburgh.
And once again in a weaker conference, unfortunately. But Syracuse, when you gotta say that Syracuse is one of your best contenders in a conference,
Nah, you know
come on,
who we really keep forgetting because they just be flying under the radar too, and I'm looking forward to them in the ACC next year.
Georgia
Loki.
Tech.
Nah, I want to see what SMU does again.
Well, I mean, they just got there though, so
And
you
they
know
went
that
8-0 in the conference. I want to see them
so
do
you
it
know,
again.
like they just got there. So like SMU definitely is gonna be a problem. Now we gotta see what they do because did that quarterback come back this year?
Let me see, because
Because that's gonna be a major factor too. If that quarterback didn't come back this season, it might be a little iffy.
you think so?
I think it's gonna be a little iffy if that freshman ain't come back. If he transferred out, I think it's gonna be a bit of a problem.
He was a freshman.
I think he was. Yeah,
Mm-mm-mm.
he was. So I hope he does because like I said, hell of a season.
What was his name again?
I think his last name was no, it wasn't King. I'm thinking of another guy.
Hold up. Jennings.
I think so.
Yeah, Kevin Jennings.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, because he played in the loss to Penn State.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kevin Jennings,
I
redshirt
do
junior.
not.
So he had transferred in from another school. I think he transferred in from Miami. I think
I do not see him on the roster, bro.
he's on here.
Oh wait, my fault. I'm looking at the wrong roster. My bad.
Yeah, Kevin Jennings.
My bad. I was looking at the wrong roster.
Yeah,
Okay,
because he came in as a redshirt sophomore last year.
bet. That man nice though. But
Oh
overall,
yeah,
at the end of the day, Notre Dame, join the ACC. Join a conference, any conference.
you'll break the natty curse if you join the conference. If you
Promise.
d- or if you remove all your other teams from a conference.
That part. But
The
we got
the
to move
football
on.
gods are not pleased.
They are not. And the football gods, it means him.
Indeed, I'm not pleased.